All right, guys, I'm going to talk to you about mixing colors and using items in an unexpected way, mixing shapes, mixing patterns, being a little bit more bolder in your design. Now, when I'm talking about being bolder, that means a lot of different things to different people, right? But for this example, I'm going to show you how to take something unexpected like this sheepskin rug. Typically, they're put on the floors, right? They feel so good to walk on. But don't forget that a sheepskin rug in a color is a great way to add color to your statement piece, to your sectional, to your main piece, your sofa, okay? Now keep in mind, I'm using another neutral sofa, right? So here's the sheepskin rug. This is great to lay on your sofa. You can even lay it across the back. I wanted to lay it here on the seat so you can get a real clear idea of what that looks like, especially those of you that have pets or maybe young children, especially pets, all right? Now also too, you'll look and see with this beautiful charcoal sheepskin, I brought in some more color. I've mimicked this same color with this back pillow here. We've mixed in some fun shapes too. You can never go wrong with a ball pillow, okay? Never go wrong. These are so fun. And then of course, we're bringing in some pattern here, this animal print. This is an amazing way to bring in a theme. Like maybe you're going for an African theme or a room that feels travel and collected. This is a great way to do that without being so literal, okay? Because sometimes when you take a theme and you become so literal with it, that it looks gaudy and it looks tacky and it's never quite what you want it to be. So again, being able to bring in this beautiful animal print pattern here, and it still gives you that feeling of travel, that African feeling, that unique style, that unique pattern, without it feeling gaudy or tacky. Now I want to draw your attention to the coffee table. One of my favorite things to merchandise, to decorate in a home is the coffee table. I love accessories. And I just wanted to show you how it's important to mix those textures, because we have a very solid wood coffee table. I love this color because it's like a grayish. It's a mix of gray and beige. Okay, you want to mix the texture. So you want to mix the matte with the glass, with the shiny, with the gloss. So this is a very matte wood, okay? Meaning that there's no gloss to it. It's a natural, neutral texture, but there's no gloss at all. No shine, no sheen. Well, can you imagine if everything that you put on top of this had no shine or sheen? It would look very dull. And what would happen is it would just feel bland. But when you bring in the gloss, when you bring in the sheen, when you bring in the different textures, it's almost like there's some tension between them, and that's what makes it just chef's kiss. So you've got the matte wood, you have this beautiful, it's a goat hair, right? You wouldn't even expect to put anything like this on a table, but I love it on this table. It's another layer, okay? It's very important to have your room and the spaces and the things that you are designing with look layered and collected. So this is a layer to put on this table. It breaks up the wood. And then when you add this glass and this metal here, it brings the right amount of gloss and sheen. I even put a lacquered box here because let's face it, our coffee tables serve more than one purpose other than just looking good, right? You got those remote controls that you gotta have. And if you're like me, I can't stand remote controls sitting on the table. You gotta have a stack of books on your coffee table. A home with no books is a home with no soul, all right? And then you've got the magnifying glass, which I think is really cool too. It serves a couple of purposes. If you have some of those folks in your home that's seasoned, okay, and those eyes need a little extra help, well, this could work, but it also looks really great. It brings in the gloss. This wood is bringing in another great element, another texture to your space. You can just leave it there, or you could stack it on top of the books, you know, and put your box there. And you know, it's all kinds of ways you can do this, but the main thing I want you to see is the importance of bringing in those different textures, mixing the matte with the gloss, okay, and heights. So you notice in this glass grouping here, we have different heights. So obviously, you know, this comes together as a set. So that's easy to do. But it's also important to be able to incorporate those heights, even if you don't have a set like this. You can get things like, there's pedestal bases that I know they sell here at Urban Pad, so you can elevate the height of something. Books are another great way to elevate the height, because if I just had this just sitting on this table, it would be okay. But if everything was on that same level, it would just, again, feel just as bland as having everything be the same texture. So books serve more than just the purpose of looking good as well as reading. They help elevate those items on your table. And I'm gonna show you one more thing, something that I think is really cool, to have some unexpected mixes of fabrics, okay? So we're gonna talk about that here next. Now, a lot of times you'll see pillows that'll be all leather, right, front and back. This one has the linen on the back, so it's already mixing the fabrics for you, and you really can get double duty out of them. I love that we have this mix here, but what I really love is this mix of this leather with this wool flannel, this wool with this leather, and then y'all, they threw in some cow. It's the artful mix, because it's not just about throwing things together. It's not just about, as I mentioned as I mentioned earlier, you know, you can have an eclectic style and an eclectic aesthetic, but you got to make sure that you have a theme. You got to make sure that you have a palette so that everything is compatible. Having that palette, having that theme, that style is so very, very important. So when it comes to your pillows, do not be afraid to mix the fabrics. You can even take, like for example, a silk pillow. Look how beautiful this silk is paired with this leather. Like just that alone, okay? Just that alone, the texture. It is, when you can create that juxtaposition, or that tension as I like to call it, between rough, typically rough, and soft, or matte and gloss, or high and low. It just takes things to the next level. It creates that depth that your eye is craving. That's why a lot of times when people put things in their home, in their room, they're just buying things because they're on sale, or they're buying things that they like, but it's not something that they love. It's just that they think that it'll work because it's the same color, or it looks like something that they saw on a magazine or something like that, without taking into consideration what their aesthetic is, without taking into consideration what their whole house palette is, without taking into consideration about the texture, the sheen, the height, so many things. But it doesn't have to be complicated. That's why I put these videos together, because I don't want you to get overwhelmed. There's so much information out there that it can be overwhelming. Trust me, as an interior design and stylist, I get overwhelmed when it comes to my own space, and I have to kind of regroup and go back to the things that I know, which is what I'm sharing with you. So I hope you all have enjoyed these. Let me know if these things, these tips and these ideas and these suggestions are helping you. Let me know if you stopped into Urban Pad and checked it out for yourself. I certainly hope that you have, because these snippets and tidbits that I'm giving you and showing you is nothing at all compared to actually being in the store. And those of you who don't have Urban Pad in your area, you're not in the Arkansas area, then start making it your business to find and seek out those design boutiques in your area. It's important to support small businesses. It's important to find those things for your home that's uniquely yours, that really brings that soul to your home. And most importantly, it's important to make your home rise up to greet you. To quote Oprah Winfrey and Nate Berkus, your home should literally rise up to greet you. It should tell the story of you and your family. And I certainly hope that these tips that I've been sharing with you certainly help you to do that. So until next time, y'all, peace.